Hello and welcome to the highlights of the 750 Motor Club race meeting at Rockingham. The Corby Speed Bowl may have been open for more than a decade now, but it is the first time that the 750 Motor Club has sampled the layout. The 2.05 mile International Super Sports Car Circuit will therefore be a new challenge to the majority of the drivers. Coming up, action from Formula V, all comers, 750 Formula and 750 Trophy. But first, it's time for the second race of the weekend from the Sports Specials Championship. Before the action, Matt Suckling caught up with a couple of the lady drivers.
Okay, we've got Bridget Smart down here. Bridget, you're racing in the Sports Specials. You were out yesterday with some action. How did it go for you, first off?
Not too bad. I qualified 10th, which is my best qualifying, and it's only my 5th race, so really pleased. And then unfortunately, driver error, I spun on the first corner.
Well, we'll put that behind you now. You've got another race to come today. What's it like racing in the Sports Specials with the Silver Phoenix?
Fantastic. Myself and my partner Martin Buckland, we know about 8 people, and it's a real social group and quite competitive, but great fun, and thoroughly enjoying it. So.
And normally with motorsport it's kind of a man's game, but what's it like from a female's perspective?
It's quite good. The women marshals just love it, and they really sort of egg us on, which is great. A friend of mine, Leslie, races as well, so it's we're the minority, but we're enjoying it. So.
Now the race today, what are you going to try and hope for? You're going to get inside the top 10?
Hope so. I've qualified 12th, so yeah, I'd like to push up a couple of places, but we'll see what happens.
Well, good luck for the race, and we'll keep an eye out for the red car.
Thank you very much.
Leslie Wilson from the Sports Specials. You've got an immaculately turned out car. What's it like to drive?
It's actually a very good car indeed. It's mid-engined and it's twin chain drive, and it's very well balanced, and so it's quite forgiving. It's I would say I don't get the best out of the car. I haven't learned to drive it fast enough yet, but actually of all the cars I've driven on the racetrack, this one gives me the most confidence.
And what first attracted you to the championship?
I started racing in what was then the kit cars about 20 years ago. And what attracted me, I suppose, was the fact that I had a kit car available to me at the time. And we've just stuck with it through the years, mostly because of the challenge of building and maintaining your own car. I mean, I've been fortunate that I've had people to do that for me, although I do get involved in the maintenance to some degree. But also the camaraderie in what was the kits and is now the Sports Specials. Throughout the years, different people have come and gone, but it's always remained a really friendly series to race in. And the cars are fun.
You had your first run out yesterday here at Rockingham. Is it your first time, and how did it kind of go?
Well, we were here testing on Friday. We came here on Friday to test, to learn our way around the circuit because we hadn't been here before. I qualified pretty poorly yesterday, actually, I have to say. Didn't really get to grips with the circuit. And I didn't get to start the race, sadly, because my car wouldn't start. So I'm going to be doing my first race here later on this morning, and I'm looking forward to it. I've had a chance to think about what I wasn't quite getting to grips with during qualifying, and ready to go out there and use the throttle a bit more.
Well, it's onwards and upwards now. Good luck for the race, Leslie, and thanks for talking to us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, yesterday pole position man Clive Hudson had mechanical problems that dropped him right back down the order, but he's here to take up his pole position again today. And in fact, he's in Eclipse 1, 2, 3 on the grid, with Paul Boyd alongside him on the front row, and last year's Class B champion on the inside of row 2. That's David Caldercourt next to the championship leader so far this year, Rob Johnston. The race gets underway then, and it's a very good start from the orange Eclipse there. That's Charles Sterling, car number 67. He goes past Rob Johnston there. Wayne Rothwell also ahead of Johnston as well. That's Nigel Brown in the white and blue number 4 car. He makes a good start as well as they head through turn 1 and down towards Dean Hairpin for the first time. It's Paul Boyd though that leads. The pole position man Clive Hudson has dropped back to 3rd position as we go on board with Patrick Mortel in the Rogue Xenon, one of the Class C cars. Missed gear there from Patrick Mortel. He loses out to Nigel Brown, but Brown is in one of the Class A cars. And as is a regular feature of the Sports Specials Championship, the cars joined on the grid again this weekend by cars from the SR and GT series. Yesterday you could just see that green Allard replica in the background. There it is again. That was John Plant. He was on the podium, 2nd overall in yesterday's 4-lap sprint, reduced after a red flag intervention. But there's the number 76 Rogue Xenon of Patrick Mortel, much more effective through the twisty parts of the circuit than on this long straight here at Rockingham. There's one flat out blast from turn 4 all the way up to Dean Hairpin, but the rest of it is very technical indeed, and that suits the less powerful Rogue Xenon with its Toyota MR2 running gear. There goes Rob Johnson trying to make a place around the outside of Clive Hudson for third position there. Switches to the inside on the exit of Tarzan Hairpin. Can't make that work though, and look, the top two are getting away. It's Paul Boyd that leads. David Caldercourt is second, Clive Hudson third, Rob Johnston fourth. Then Wayne Rothwell is in fifth position. He's the Class C Championship leader and second overall in the points coming into this weekend. Class A is for Duratec engined cars, Class B for Zetec engined cars, and Class C for pretty much anything else within reason, providing it's a two-seater sport special type car. And there you can see the power of that green Allard replica with its 7-litre engine. That's John Plant there. He makes up a place on Nigel Brown, but he really does struggle through the technical parts of the circuit. Let's see if Brown can come back to him as they go into Dean Hairpin. Much more effective on the brakes is the little kit car of Nigel Brown at number 4, but up ahead there's a problem, and it's a spin for the race leader. Paul Boyd has gone off. The yellow eclipse there on the right hand side of the circuit on the grass is dropping way down the order now. Can he get going again? That's the question. That means that David Caldercourt is promoted into the lead, and that now is the battle for second, as on the inset there you can see that Paul Boyd has now got away and is turning through Yentwood Corner, but the race leader there with a dramatic moment. We didn't see how that started, but it did seem to be all on his own. So Caldercourt it is now that leads. This is the Ford GT40 replica of Mark Bowd. Also you've got the low cost there, number 81, which is Lewis Dallas from Cardross in Glasgow, and this is a car that has been fitted with an 1800cc Zetec engine to race within the Sport Specials this year. He also raced it with the Scottish Motor Racing Club and the RAF MSA as well. Back on board with Patrick Mortel, and that's Paul Boyd up ahead now, isn't it? After his moment, doing his best to recover, the former race leader. How far back up the order can he get, I wonder? Outside the top 10 certainly after that moment. And there's Charles Sterling at Kirby having a look up the inside of Wayne Rothwell, and he goes through for position. So Eclipse makes up a place there. Charles Sterling getting ahead of the Class C car as a retirement. That looks like the Leighton Norris Rogue Xenon, the teammate to Patrick Mortel. And now it's Wayne Rothwell being attacked by John Plant in that Allard replica, mightily powerful machine, turning his way out of Tarzan Hairpin onto the school straight. There's the number 38 car of Brigitte Smart, who we heard from at the beginning of the programme. Qualified pretty well here this weekend. She's from Somerton in Somerset, and she's an animal commission artist. That's what she does for a living. She's just ahead there of Lewis Dallas now, just behind that Ford GT40 replica of Mark Bowd as they turn their way into the chicane. Well, this is the battle for the lead of Class B, and Marcus Roskill is swooping ahead there in the number 44 car, taking the lead away from the Class B Championship leader Colin Benham, who fights back now in the purple STM Phoenix, but no, it looks like Marcus Roskill has got that move done down at Dean Hairpin. He takes the lead of Class B. It's for 8th and 9th positions overall. And look, because Patrick Mortel in his Class C Rogue Xenon is starting to join in with them as well. Look at the speed he carried through Yentwood there, got right onto the rear of them. They look like possibly had struggles finding a gear there, just dropped back a little bit, now through Chapman Curve, and piff-paff they go. But it's going to be a 3-car fight here then for 8th, 9th and 10th position, with Marcus Roskill at the head of that. 46 years of age, but in his first season of racing. And that green Silver Phoenix is the car that was built by Clive Hudson 25 years ago now, originally as a road car. For the last few seasons it's been owned by Martin Buckland. But let's watch the battle as the Mortel car tries to go around the outside of both of them at Tarzan Hairpin. Does he make it work? Not yet, but he's going to switch to the inside on the way out of the corner. It's 3 abreast and he's got past at least one of them. Mortel is going to try and get past another one now as they head their way along the school straight. This is where the Class B cars might just have the edge in terms of power though. And Mortel unable to get fully alongside Colin Benham down the straights, and Benham therefore just able to elbow mortal aside. He drops back to 10th position. John Plant there, ahead now of Wayne Rothwell in his Tiger GTA, but of course John Plant, one of the SR and GT runners, rather than one of the sports special drivers. Oh, a spinner! And that's the race leader, David Caldercourt, has had a spin up at the hairpin. And that means now that it's Clive Hudson, therefore, that has taken the lead of the race, but there is Caldercourt, number 34, waits for a gap in the traffic, gets going again, and he has dropped quite a long way down the order as well. Had a bit of a drama-packed race yesterday with a couple of moments as well, before eventually coming to finish third in the restarted race behind Paul Boyd and John Plant. Well, here's this Mark Bowd and Bridget Smart battle. Bridget Smart having a look at the inside there at Yentwood. The last lap board has now gone out. So on to the final couple of miles of racing. That's the Leslie Wilson car going through shot, ahead of the Tadek of Martin Timon, but here then is the race leader, and that is Clive Hudson. Well, he's rather fallen into his lap really, because spins, as far as we could see, unforced for both of the two race leaders during the course of that one. First, Paul Boyd coming out of Dean Hairpin on the way towards Yentwood, and then at Tarzan for David Caldercourt a few laps later. It's Hudson that's leading, it's Johnston in second place, then third is John Plant. Wayne Rothwell there is in fourth position, an excellent performance from him in the Tiger GTA, but out of Brook Chicane and onto the banking once more goes Clive Hudson. The checkered flag is made ready, and for Clive Hudson it is going to be his second win of the season, to go with the one he had at Donington Park as far as Class A is concerned. Rob Johnston takes second place overall, John Plant is third, and in fourth position it's Wayne Rothwell. Charles Sterling crosses the line in fifth, and Paul Boyd in the end comes back to sixth position. This is the battle for Class B. It's changed around since we last saw it, because Colin Benham has got back ahead of Marcus Roskill now. They're turning their way onto the banking. Is there one last run to the line that Marcus Roskill can have? No, there's not, of course. So it's going to be Colin Benham who indicates his delight at having a very good battle for the Class B lead. He finishes in 8th overall. Still Mark Bowd ahead of Bridget Smart in the number 38 car. She's had a great little dice. She's going to come home, I think, in the end in 15th position overall, but that will be 12th of the Sports Specials cars, and she'll actually be 4th place within Class B as well. Taking a look at the results then, well, John Plant was actually penalised for passing under yellow flags, so that moves Wayne Rothwell up into the top 3 in his Class C car, behind Clive Hudson and Rob Johnston. Charles Sterling 4th, Paul Boyd came back to 5th, David Caldercourt, by the way, finished 11th in the end.
Clive Hudson, race victor in that one. A little bit of a better day for you today in that race.
Much improved, yeah. I didn't have the mechanical issues I had in the first race, but yeah, it went really quite well apart from my start, which I messed up.
And you had a few spinners in front of you, but you definitely had the pace to win that race.
It's hard to say whether I would have had the pace. Those guys are very good at racing, good at defending, and I know they were feeling the pressure, but yeah, it would have been a good race if they hadn't felt too much pressure and fallen off.
And you're the man holding on to this number 1 spot because you are reigning champion from last year.
I am. I'm not leading the championship at the moment. I think Rob in second place is leading the championship, but it's all to play for still.
Well done on the victory, Clive.
Thank you.
Join us again after the break when we turn our attention to Formula V. Welcome back to Rockingham for round 10 of the Tillotson Formula V Championship, and the top 2 drivers in the points not here this weekend, so no Paul Smith and no Martin Farmer. Yesterday Peter Belzy looked to be on course for his first ever Formula V win, but Ben Anderson snatched the honours on the very last lap, and Anderson lines upon pole position next to Craig Pollard, the first time he has been on the front row. Out go the red lights, away we go, and it's a good start from the two men on the second row of the grid. Steve-O there trying to squeeze in between the two front row men, but no such problems for Graham Gant in the yellow Wev. He has got the lead of the race away then as they go through turn 1 for the first time. It looks like Steve-O has just about snuck into second place, but you can see here how the cars can fan out 4 or 5 abreast down into Dean Hairpin for the first time. It's Gant that leads, O is second, and Anderson I think in third place. Through this left-handed hairpin then, and then up towards the right-hander at Yentwood. And look, it's all getting a little bit tight there. Someone locking up. That may have been Ian Jordan, the Class B Championship leader. There, though, is Steve-O in second place. Right behind him is Ben Anderson as they head through Piff Paff for the first time. Well, Anderson had that win yesterday, but this is actually going to be his last ever Formula V race as he locks up there. He's acquired the ex-Stuart Goff Ray and is going to go Formula Ford 1600 racing. So down the steel straight towards Gracelands they come then. The car sweeping through. It's Peter Belzy there in the number 5 car who led so much of yesterday's race that's trying to put some pressure on number 92 Craig Pollard as they make their way into Tarzan Hairpin now, having a look down the inside. Can he go through? Different lines being taken, lots of space making that possible here. Paul Taylor in the other black GAC with the white engine cover on the rear of it, he's involved as well. And along the straight, look, the Spider, the ex-Jez Clark Championship winning car of Peter Belzy, is able to go through into 4th position then. Pollard goes down to 5th. It's Taylor in 6th place. But meanwhile, for the lead of the race, that big lead that Graham Gant had has been completely eaten away by Steve-O. And it's 3 cars for the lead. It's Gant from O from Anderson. Remember, Gant was onto the podium last time out at Donington Park. He finished in 3rd position there. He lies 8th in the championship coming into this weekend. By comparison, Steve-O is 4th. Anderson well down the order in 10th, but he's had more non-finishes than he's had finishes this year. 5 DNFs out of 8 starts. And Belzy, having got past Pollard, he's really in the 3 leaders as well, so very shortly it could be 4 for the lead. A spin there at Dean Hairpin for number 27. That's Alan Robinson in the AHS Dominator. He gets going again though, as through Piff Paff come the leaders. It is now 4 cars scrapping through to the lead at Kirby. Goes Steve-O. The Yorkshireman takes the lead away from number 9. That's Graham Gant as they make their way out of Kirby now. And it's not a 4-car battle for the lead anymore. It's pretty much a 6 or 7-car battle now, because they've all tripped over one another, and it's getting very close indeed. Belzy now has gone 3rd, Anderson down to 4th, and a spinner in the background there as well. We'll pick up who that was in a moment, but down towards the hairpin at Tarzan they go, and it is still Steve-O that leads this race then, from Graham Gant in 2nd, who led the first lap, and then yesterday's race leader Peter Belzy is in 3rd position. Back onto the banking they go then for the second time, the completion of 2 laps, and the car there into the gravel. That's Tim Probert, isn't it? Number 53. He was our spinner on the way out of Gracelands. Side by side for the lead, and it's Graham Gant that goes back through it. Dean Hairpin, brilliant move that, but can Steve-O come back on the exit? Meanwhile, Ben Anderson is taking a completely different line to everybody else. He goes very wide, but it doesn't seem to have worked out too badly for him. He's still there. Well, he's back into 3rd place now, isn't he? Ahead of Belzy. It's Ian Jordan that's in 5th. Better run up towards Chapman for Peter Belzy, but Anderson can hold on to 3rd. But meanwhile, it is Steve-O that's got back into the lead of the race. Fantastic stuff this from Formula V. We've not seen a Formula V race like this for a very long time. They used to be always like this. Lots of slipstreaming action as Anderson there in danger of losing a place to Peter Belzy here as they come down Steel Straight towards Gracelands into that yellow flag zone, because there's the car off that belongs to Tim Probert, the Yorkshireman, whose race has lasted only a lap and a half. In yesterday's race, Tim finished 6th overall in his Storm. Here come the leaders, this snarling pack there as well, that involves at the back of the group Paul Taylor. Just ahead of him is Craig Pollard. There's Steve Bailey, car number 15, the 50-year-old from Cuffley, the owner of Truck Storage and House Removals Company. He's having a good dice further down the order, but here come the leaders, and Steve-O has managed to pull out a bit more of a gap this time. There is Ben Anderson in third place, retiring from Formula V racing very shortly. He'll be aiming to go out on a high. A double win would do him very nicely indeed. Peter Belzy in the green Spider there was starting to attack Ian Jordan for fourth position. Down towards the hairpin they've gone. It's Jordan on the inside, Belzy on the outside line. Pollard there, who started on the front row, he's back in sixth position. But Craig, who's 20 years of age from Diss, he's been pretty consistent this season, did have that DNF last time out at Donington Park though, ending up in the gravel at Coppice Corner. So Anderson, Jordan and Belzy is the order of this little group. They've just lost a little bit of ground now to the top two, Steve-O and Graham Gant. But Anderson will be keen to get back on terms, and he does seem to have a bit more speed through Kirby than Graham Gant, as into the pit lane has come Steve Bailey, as you can see on the inset. Down Steel Straight then, in towards Gracelands they go. Pollard now venturing a look there on the inside of Peter Belzy. They go past that stricken Tim Probert car. Anderson, they look how he is back with Graham Gant, and it just seems to me that Gant doesn't carry as much speed through the slow Kirby corner, but the top of the circuit, the far end away from the grandstands here at Rockingham. And this is the number 91 car, which is Anthony Mitchell. It's his Ray, turning his way through Dean Hairpin now. Up towards Yentwood he goes. As here come the leaders, and Steve-O has dropped back a little bit, hasn't he? He's dropped back down to fourth position now. It's Gant that leads, Anderson second, Belzy in third place, and Belzy is going to have a look around the outside, is he, as they make their way down towards Dean Hairpin. Absolutely side by side, brilliant stuff. This Anderson holds on, turns his way through Dean Hairpin now. So it's Gant leading, Anderson second, Belzy third, but Belzy's not given up. Thinks about another look into Yentwood that time. Oh, back in fourth place, but he was leading the race not so very long ago. The other driver that's made up some ground during the course of this race is Daniel Burton. He started a bit further back on the grid, on row 9 in fact, and has done well to get himself up into the top 8. Through Kirby and back onto the Steel Straight, and again you can see how Ben Anderson was superior through that part of the circuit than Graham Gant. He's not done him much good this time though, and round Gracelands Peter Belzy's going to try and look around the outside. And he tucks back in, maybe about to launch another attack at Tarzan Hairpin. Takes the deep line into the corner, the tight line out of the corner. We've seen that Spider is pretty useful in a straight line, so can he outdrag Ben Anderson on the run to Brook Chicane? He's going to be on the outside line though. Ben Anderson has the advantage, takes the inside line. Anderson for the moment holds on as they head back onto the turn 4 banking. This is the last lap of the race now. It's still Gant that leads from Anderson and Peter Belzy. They've pulled out a little bit more of a gap over the rest of the field now. Belzy just taking to the apron there to get alongside Ben Anderson. Down towards Dean Hairpin. Who's going to emerge from this corner in front? It looks like it's going to be Anderson. And it's side by side further back as well. It's Pollard and Owen. There's Daniel Burton up from the back of the grid, up now into fifth position because he's side by side with Steve-O. Can't make it work yet. Has another look on the inside at the right hander at Yentwood. Well, it's still sixth then just for Daniel Burton, but he briefly got his nose ahead of Steve-O for fifth position. Pollard there in fourth, just getting away a little bit now because Steve is having to drive that bit more defensively, not wanting to give away any more places. He's given away enough. He was in the lead of the race, of course. Down at Kirby they go. Ian Jordan is also involved, and so is Paul Taylor. It's really 4 cars battling now over fifth position. Down towards Gracelands they go. The leaders already out of Gracelands and towards Tarzan Corner. They're coming up to one of the slower cars now. Anderson thinks about looking at the yellow car of Graham Gant there, but can't make it through. It's going to be Chris Wilshire, I think, that's going to keep well out of the way of the race leaders as they come past us then towards Brook Chicane for the final time. It looks like Graham Gant is going to do it and get his first win of the season in the Tillotson Formula V Championship. It's going to be second to Ben Anderson, third to Peter Belzy. Checkered flag goes out. Yes, that order is confirmed, and it's Graham Gant in the web that takes the win, and he is absolutely delighted with that. But look at this, further back, it's going to be Burton that gets 5th, and just getting 6th place in the end, Ian Jordan. Well, here's the confirmation of that. Graham Gant getting the win, but the fastest lap went to the man in 2nd place. That was Ben Anderson. Peter Belty 3rd and Craig Pollard's 4th puts him 2nd in the point standings now, behind Paul Smith. 5th was Daniel Burton, and 6th was the Class B winner, Ian Jordan.
Graham Gant taking the victory today in Formula V, but the pressure was definitely on during that race.
Yes, I struggled a bit around the slower areas of the track, but I knew I had an advantage on the straight, and I used it to my most to keep in front, and as a tactic it worked very well. So I hadn't been testing here on Friday, so I came in yesterday raw. That showed in race 1 yesterday. I managed to spin onto the main straight, which obviously gave me a pretty poor position yesterday, but made up for it today. Good start off the line, and used the speed advantage down the straight to keep me in front, and that's all we needed to do.
And it's your first victory in Formula V, and your first victory since what year?
1982, when I raced many years ago, before my family and mortgages took over. I came back into V in 2000. I came into V in 2009, and it's taken a long while to get to the front, but it's proved worth it today.
Ben, another good result there in the Formula V race. That you definitely tried your best to put the pressure on Graham, though.
Yeah, I was trying very hard. As you can see, I'm sweating and I've got a big blister on my hand. Graham drove well. He kept it pointing the right way today, which made all the difference. And I was quicker than him round the infield part of the circuit, but he had the legs on me down the straight. I'd come out of the last corner and he'd just drive away from me. And it made it very difficult to get close enough to try something. And I was on the grass at one point, trying to keep my foot in. Obviously, I had Pete to worry about behind. And I was hoping to finish with a double win, especially after winning yesterday, but it wasn't to be. But I've had a good race, and now I've evened out my finishing record for the season, so I can't be too unhappy with that.
And Rockingham has proved that you can overtake around here, because there's plenty of that going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a circuit that I thought would be well suited to the Formula, because you've got such a long drag from the last corner to the first hairpin, and so it proved. I mean, both races were really close and all about slipstreaming, which is how it should be.
Peter finishing 3rd in that one. You're a man who once again tried to put the pressure on, but the two guys ahead kind of had it.
Yeah, it was very close at the front, and got alongside Ben at least 2 or 3 times, but just couldn't pull off that pass. It was really close, but brilliant fun.
The conditions today are much more better for you, because the car probably handles a little bit better as well.
Yeah, a bit cooler. Both air temperature and track temperature definitely suited the cars. It's quite hard on the cars, this track, so I think the cars were happy for it to be a bit cooler. So yeah.
A few more rounds to come. You've got to start building these championship points up now.
Yeah, not many left now, but I've got no idea where I am in the championship, but have to start thinking about it a little bit, because I wasn't really expecting to be contesting at all, but I've stacked up a couple of points this weekend, so it's all good.
Well, I'm Peter on 3rd.
Thank you very much.
We've still got 3 more races to come here at Rockingham, so join us after the break for the all-comers event. Time now for one of an occasional series of all-comers races put on by the 750 Motor Club, and in the words of Peter Snow, it's just a bit of fun. Most of the cars taking part are already here this weekend for championship action, notably a plethora of MR2s and BMW compacts, which are taking to the back of the grid now. But at the sharp end, 2 cars that we saw out in bike sports action yesterday. Tim Gray and John Cutmore have brought their Spire GT3s to the grid, and they are expected to dominate, really. Red light goes on, goes out now then. A good start there by Richard Chamberlain in his Lotus Elise from the 2nd row of the grid, and he's got past John Cutmore's Spire. It's Martin Kemp there in 4th position, you can see, in his 750 Formula Race Kits Falcon, and then it's the MR2s and the compacts with a few stock catch cars, a Caterham, a low cost sprinkled in as well. A real good mix of cars then. Down towards turn number 1, turn 2 at Dean, and it's a spin for Martin Kemp in the Race Kits Falcon. He's off onto the grass. But he's not actually racing in 750 Formula this weekend, because he's handed his car over to St Andrew for those particular duties. So we're going to have some entertainment now, I should think, from Martin as he tries to pick his way back through the field. Losing some of the dust that he's picked up there on the grass. So here are the MR2s. It looks like they're being headed at the moment by Matthew Wallace from Simon Wallace in second, then Matthew Palmer in third place. Luke Austin, who was going strongly, has lost a little bit of ground, it would seem, among that class. He qualified on the inside of row number 3 overall, but he's dropped back a little bit now. There's Palmer, who has won the last 4 races in the MR2 Championship, just tucked in behind Simon Wallace there, third within that class. As off goes Luke Austin into the gravel at Gracelands. Well, all of a sudden the car turned right when it should have gone left. Maybe a problem with his tyres, but Luke Austin pitched into the gravel trap there as John Cutmore gets back ahead of the Elise of Richard Chamberlain as they make their way through Brook Chicane. But the red flags are out, the race being stopped, and I should think that will be because Luke Austin's car is stranded in the gravel trap. There it is, and the Northampton driver just making his way out of the car and sprinting to the safe side of the barriers. But the race being stopped, so his car will be retrieved before we get a restart. No Luke Austin then on the inside of row 3 on the grid. It's going to be Timothy Heron in the 23 car that starts alone on that particular row. The race gets underway, and again a good start by the Elise of Richard Chamberlain, just better off the line than John Cutmore's Spire. And again it's Martin Kemp who was able to retake his position on the outside of row 2 that holds on to 4th position then, but he is under threat now from Heron in the first of the MR2s as they make their way up towards Dean Hairpin for the first time, and I think Kemp is just about going to be able to hold on. But all of these MR2s and compacts, there you can see Ryan Lowry in his Ford Fiesta as well. He was out in classic stock hatch yesterday, had some of his best ever results as well, which was pleasing to see. Turning their way through the right-hander at Yentwood then. So who's ahead in the MR2s this time? It is Tim Heron that is ahead. Then it's Matthew Wallace. In third it's Matthew Palmer. Simon Wallace is in 4th position this time. And then it looks like the first of the Clios is next through, and that's Ben Siebold. These Clios, of course, being developed to run ideally in their own standalone series next year. They're generally racing alongside stock hatch so far this season, but the performance of these cars has been very pleasing indeed, and there's more and more of them in build all the time. You can just see in the background Ben Siebold going through, but for the moment it is the MR2s that Ben needs to try and find his way past. They're headed by number 23, that's Tim Heron, as they make their way down the School Straight towards Brook Chicane for the first time. You can see Siebold there having a look up the inside of Simon Wallace in the number 73 MR2. Unable to make that work. Hoping to have about 10 of the Clios out by the end of the season. There's certainly that many that are either already built or are in build. I look forward to seeing full grids of them next season. They're just going through shot. You can see the low cost, the Caterham type car of Danny Andrew. He qualified very well indeed in his little 1300cc low cost. There's a mistake there by Tim Heron. Does that let Matt Wallace have a sniff of an opportunity for the lead amongst the unofficial MR2 class? There you can see Danny Andrew there was in the thick of that battle amongst some MR2s there. The compacts making their way through as well. David Drinkwater in number 67 looks to be the top of the compacts at the moment. But certainly the MR2s just seem to have the legs on the compacts around Rockingham. Well, here is Tim Gray, our race leader. In the bike sports race yesterday, he had something of a dramatic retirement, had to pull into the pits with brake problems. The brakes overheated. There's a little bit of a fire down in the pit lane as well, but he had a more successful race too, getting to the end. Now you can see Richard Chamberlain now well among the lappery in this race. He's just putting a lap on, I think that's the Martin Farrelly MR2. So Chamberlain in that Elise running in 3rd position overall. There's some more MR2 scraps. That's number 8, Clive Morford, a regular front runner in the Toyota MR2 Championship. He's just behind, though, at the moment, Mark Warren Leighton in car 16. Is that going to change around as they head down into Tarzan Hairpin? Yes, it looks like it is. Ryan Lowry, of course, in his classic stock hatch, not too far behind, proving himself pretty evenly matched with the MR2s. There goes John Cutmore, our second position man, and he's going to swallow up some of these MR2s for breakfast, I think, on the way down to Dean Hairpin. Look at how he can just drive past them. He takes the outside line, dives ahead of them, dives ahead of Matthew Wallace, who is leading that unofficial MR2 battle from Palmer in second place now. It looks like Heron in third. Here's Martin Kemp, still running in fourth position overall in this Race Kits Falcon. We'll see that out again a little bit later on in the 750 Formula Championship race in the hands of his son, Andrew. Here's Palmer, though, going for the lead amongst the MR2s. Runs quite wide, though, at Dean Hairpin. Does that give Tim Heron an opportunity to get back into second place? No, it doesn't, because he was a little bit sideways coming out of the corner as well. Alex Knight starting to get involved, and he relegates Tim Heron one more place there. Dan Holmes, I can see, going through, and there's another of the Clios. That's Kevin Condon there. He's going pretty strongly in that number 22 car. Mark Bithry, that is, just behind him in the white MR2. Danny Andrew there as well in that low cost, a front runner and a race winner this season in the low cost championship. Not racing here at Rockingham this weekend, but they'll be back in action at Silverstone at the end of August, which is the next 750 Motor Club race meeting. Danny, the ex-kart racer, still with a novice cross on the back of his car. So there's Bithry, number 58 then, making his way through Gracelands, and down the straight towards the Tarzan Hairpin they go. As you can hear in the background the wail of one of the Spires, the bike sports cars. Martin Kemp lapping there David Drinkwater, and John Cutmore about to put a lap on Martin Kemp as well, I think, as we come into the closing stages of this race. Those Spires are lapping down at the Womanlit 27s in the hands of Tim Gray. The majority of the cars in this race are lapping in 1:47 or slower, as Alex Knight doing battle there with Simon Wallace in the number 73 car. Alex Knight has been a winner in the MR2 Championship this season at Brands Hatch. Hasn't managed to uphold that level of form throughout the season, but certainly went well on the Indy circuit in Kent. Here, though, is Tim Gray on his final lap, making his way through Tarzan Hairpin for the final time. He's leading by more than half a lap over his rivals as Iggy Kwesi pulls his BMW compact into the school pit lane there. Through Brook Chicane for the final time then comes Tim Gray. It's been something of a test session really for these Spires, but a very effective one it has proved as well. Checkered flag goes out, and victory in the all-comers race goes, with no great surprise, to Tim Gray. Well, there are battles still to be settled. This is between car 40 and car 66. It's for 23rd position between Warren Gazzard and Bryce Greenwood as the MR2s come across the line, and in the end it's Matthew Palmer that takes the win in that division from Matthew Wallace. So he got the better of Wallace in the end, and Tim Heron took third position. The Elise goes over the line as well. That's Richard Chamberlain who takes third position. Then it's Dan Holmes, he's next over the line in number 92. He is 10th, just ahead of the first of the Clios. That's Kevin Condon. And here comes our second place man through Brook Chicane. That's John Cutmore, car number 3. A regular in the RGB Championship, but racing with the bike sports and in the Allcombs this weekend. So he's had 3 races over the course of the weekend, and he finishes in P2. And finally, our 4th position man, that is Martin Kemp. Confirmation of those results then. 52 seconds the winning margin for Tim Gray over John Cutmore, and everybody else was at least 1 lap down. Within Class B, Matthew Palmer got the honours from Matthew Wallace. The best of the Class C drivers was Danny Andrew in his low cost. He finished 13th overall.
Tim, great victory there in the all-comers race. A nice easy Sunday drive for you there, and you kind of opened it up and a little bit of testing.
Yeah, lots of testing. Yesterday was the main focus, but today, yeah, just a bit of extra testing. It's really good, sort of two ways really. It's great for learning racecraft and practicing overtaking, because there's so much to overtake, and thinking ahead all the time of where you got to be and where you need to put the car. And we just had a few things we wanted to try out on the car, and they've made quite a big difference and made the car a lot better. So we're really looking forward to Silverstone next.
And the Spire is kind of a new car for you. You're still trying to get to grips with it, and it's coming along nicely for 2013.
Yeah, it's part of the reason we wanted to do these extra all-comers races. I didn't really feel I had enough time in the car this year, and so any amount of seat time is beneficial from just learning the car's characteristics as much as anything else. So yeah, it was great to get out in the car. They're an absolutely fantastic car to drive, and you just smile all the time when you're racing. So it's a real pleasure.
John taking second place there in the all-comers race. Once again, Tim was a little bit too quick for you, but picking up second, not too bad.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Tim had a slight advantage on slick tyres, but nevertheless, I never got near him. But yeah, had a good race.
And good track conditions for you today?
It was actually really good. Conditions were better than yesterday. It was too hot, and it was great fun to go through the pack. And yeah.
Richard out in the Lotus there for the all-comers race, managed to pick up third place. Nice little run for today.
Oh, it was really good fun. We were at Oldham Park yesterday and came down at midnight this morning, I suppose, and came here home in time for Sunday lunch. What can be better than that?
You're getting used to the Lotus now. You had a great start there, nearly got into the lead, but then the Spires came into their own.
Yeah, I mean, the Lotus is just a great car, but it's a modified road car. It's not a race car, so you can't really expect too much.
Well on the podium though.
Thank you very much.
Alistair Frayling-Cork from the 750 Trophy, racing in the Austin 7, still going strong?
Yes, it's all running lovely, thank you very much. This is my first time here at Rockingham, so it's a bit of a novelty and a mystery to find the right track, because it's all laid out with marker cones, but it's getting there. The banking isn't quite as steep as I thought it would be from what I heard in the past, but anyway, it's very enjoyable.
They're not the fastest of cars, but they put on a great show.
We try.
And what are you hoping for from today at Rockingham?
Well, to keep up with the rest of the Austin 7s at least, but not necessarily the Trophy Reliant Engines cars, because they always seem to gain a lap on us.
And you just had qualifying, everything seem okay with the car?
I think just as bad as it will be, yes.
Great stuff, all the best, Alistair.
Thank you very much.
The car's on the grid then for the only 750 Trophy race of the weekend, and it's Danny Reuter on pole position for the first time in his DNC, ahead of Ben Mile alongside him on the grid. Row 2 has Peter Chattin and Barry Pike, the best of the Austin 7s, lining up 8th overall. Michael Inglis, Michael Harvey, is 9th on the grid. As the red lights go out, the race gets underway. Good start there by Peter Chattin from the second row of the grid, just about gets alongside the two front row men, but can't capitalise on that. So I think he's going to stay in third position. The top 5 cars making a break from the rest already. The 5th of those being the white car of Cliff Ringrose, who lined up 7th on the grid. So it's 5 for the lead then, as they head down towards the hairpin for the first time. It looks like it's going to be the Ben Mile car that gets into the lead of the race. No, it's not. It's going to be still 47 Danny Reuter that holds the lead then, as they go through Dean Hairpin for the first time and down towards Yentwood. Danny then not having done too many races yet in the 750 Trophy, which is the 750 Motor Club's historic racing series, catering as it does for some old 750 Formula type cars. On a change of lead there, because into the lead has gone Peter Chattin, and he spins. His car goes around at Piff Paff, maybe pushed on just a little bit too much too early on coldish tyres, and he'd certainly made some dramatic progress there. But there you can see from a different angle the spin. It wasn't a full spin, it was only sort of 90 degrees, and as he hit the grass he spun back round the other way and had to wait for most of the traffic to go through before he could rejoin the race. Barry Pike looks to be up to second place then. Well, this is great news for Barry, because it's only his second race meeting in the 750 Trophy Series. He's out in the JGS 3, made his debut at Pembrey last time out and acquitted himself quite well, finishing 2nd and 4th in the 2 races there. About 10 years of enduro bike racing, not with any particular success, he says. This is the car that Pete Birch used to race very successfully for a number of years. It was originally built in the 1960s and then rebuilt and restored in 1999. Well, a great plethora of cars here, including top of the Austin 7s, I think that now is Gregan Thruston, but trying to go around, and then the inside of him is number 72, which is Trevor Slatter. Now he's another driver that went quite well last time out at Pembrey. Back to third position he came from, a lowly position, as we've got a retirement, I'm afraid, and that's number 30, Tim Mile. His Pigsty Mark 13 is out of the race. Well, Don Rawson coming towards us, a great veteran of racing with the 750 trophy. The man from Oswestry, now 78 years of age. He was being chased down by Peter Chattin after his spin. And there is Trevor Slatter's car. He has pulled away from the first of the Austin 7s, which is Gregan Thruston, but just pulling off to the side there. You just saw on the left-hand side of picture, I think that was Lyndon Thruston, which is Gregan's son. He goes into retirement. So we see there number 62, which is John Gasking, once again racing the Centaur Mark 16 that daughter Helen Gilfillan has been racing for much of the season. Turning his way through the Tarzan hairpin behind one of the Austin 7s there, and that looks to be the number 5 car of Michael Harvey. And here is the change of lead, because I was going to say here's Danny Rutter in the lead, but he's got a problem, hasn't he? His car slowing on the way up to Tarzan hairpin, and Ben Mile can go through in the Gavel Mark 1, but so too can Barry Pike in the JGS. Some smoke coming from the back of that car, maybe it's an engine failure, but Danny Rutter, the former MG midget racer, out of the race. So that puts Ben Mile now into something of a clear lead. Car number 11 now. He goes through the turn 4 banking over the start and finish line to start another lap. It's lap number 6 for him now. And there is car number 5 once more, which is Michael Harvey in his Austin 7. He's closing in now on Gregan Thruston though for the lead of the Austin 7 class, which is Class A. Of course, it's the Austin 7 that was one of the cars that the 750 Motor Club was founded on back in 1939. It was a readily available and relatively cheap motor car for the impecunious motorsport enthusiast to set off with. Saw Barry Pike going through a shot there, and now Gregan Thruston is being reeled in by Michael Harvey now in car number 5. What if Gregan Thruston has got a problem as well? We've seen his son Lyndon already retire the DNC in this race, but Gregan Thruston is being caught here by Michael Harvey in car number 5. There's Don Rawson again, car number 1. He's running in 4th position now. As through goes number 22, which is Charlie Plain Jones in his Austin 7 special, just behind the Austin 7 Mason special of Mike Whitby. A great variety of cars. As on to the last lap goes the race leader Ben Mile, but his lead over Barry Pike, it's not that large, is it? It's a couple of seconds, no more than that. Can Barry Pike do something about Ben Mile on this final lap of the race, I wonder? Through Dean Hairpin they go, onto the technical section of the circuit now. It's a long flat out run from turn 4 all the way up to the Dean Hairpin, but from here on in for the much of the rest of the lap as a problem, and it is a retirement, I'm afraid, for number 13, Gregan Thruston. That means he has lost the lead of the Austin 7 Triple Challenge class. Taking over the lead of that is Michael Harvey. Meanwhile, here comes Ben Mile now with a back marker between himself and Barry Pike. While the wins all the way through this season so far have been taken by the HSC of Peter Chattin, albeit Miles Griffiths did do the driving at Brands Hatch because Peter was out of the country. So it's going to be a new winner for this season, and it's going to be a first one as well, I think, for Ben Mile. As here's this battle coming through for the Austin 7 class, and it is still the 21 car that's ahead in this scrap. That's Alf Rayling Cork ahead of the Austin 7 Mouse of David Muttons. The checkered flag goes out. The win goes to Ben Mile by 2.3 seconds in the end over Barry Pike. There's a bit of a wait to see the third place car come into shot, and that's going to be Peter Chattin. But this battle is yet to be resolved. It's for third place within the Austin 7 class. Oh, and just a mistake there possibly from David Wetton, and that is going to mean that Alf Rayling Cork in the number 21 car is going to come through and take 10th position overall, and third amongst the Austin Sevens of Class A. Results time then, Ben Mile gets the win by 2.3 seconds from Barry Pike. A further 13 seconds adrift was Peter Chattin in third position after his spin halfway around the first lap. Don Rawson, Cliff Ringrose and Trevor Slatter completed the top 6. The best lap of the race went to the winner. That was Ben Mile.
Ben, great race for yourself today and your first victory.
Yeah, absolutely. I was really happy with it. The car's been going really well and been really reliable ever since I got it, except for the exhaust falling off today. But I decided to crack on regardless. So yeah, really happy with it.
You had a nice comfortable margin towards the beginning of the race, then Barry kind of closed you down.
Yeah, well, I was kind of trying to work out why the car was 3 times louder and kind of thinking, should I switch this off? And then I thought, no, I'm sure that's the exhaust, so I cracked on. And yeah, it went well.
Do you reckon this is the first of many wins?
I certainly hope so.
Time now for action from the Premier Choice Group 750 Formula Championship, and as the cars head off on their green flag lap, let's hear from Matt Suckling in the pit lane.
Sue Harris from the 750 Formula, you're one of our female racers in the championships. Great to have you along. How's it going so far?
Not too bad. Very hot yesterday, really hot. Never driven the car in that sort of heat. She nearly boiled over, but yeah, it's been going well. It's a lovely circuit.
You've got a lovely looking car, I have to say. What's it like to drive?
It's fabulous. It's I've always driven it exactly the same from the day I first built it. I don't touch it, don't change it, and it knows me and I know the car.
Can I ask how many years have you been racing?
Been racing this since '97, but I raced for a couple of years in 750s in the 80s, and then went to Papua New Guinea and raced on dirt track ovals for 5 or 6 years.
Something very different then.
Yeah.
And it's a family affair as well, because you've got Mick about.
It is, yes. Yeah, Mick's got another derby as well, and yeah, we're him and her racing.
Well, that's Ed Pither, who had to vacate his car on the green flag lap of the race. A great shame for Ed, because it was a debut victory for Ed and that car in yesterday's race, which was round 7 of the championship. That's the PRS 1. Once the race got underway, there was more drama, and it involved the championship leader, Dave Hodkin. He lost a wheel as he rounded Kirby. Robin Gearing had to take avoiding action, and Dave Hodkin left frustrated there. It would be his second non-finish of the weekend. Here's a replay of the incident. In Saturday's race, he made contact with Bill Cowley that put both of them out of the race while they were contesting the lead. And Hodkin had a couple of points put on his licence as well for his part in the incident. No surprise, because of that moment for Dave Hodkin, the red flags flew and the race would have to be restarted. So it's Bill Cowley and Mark Glover on the front row of the grid then as the red lights go out. Away they go. Good start from Cowley, not such a good start from Glover. Chris Goff alongside him, and he's losing more ground as well as he goes up through the gears towards turn number 1. He's dropped down to about 5th or 6th place already. Dave Robson, I can see there, trying to go around the outside of him in the number 1 car, the reigning champion. They head their way down towards Dean Hairpin then for the first time. It's Cowley that leads, but it was pretty much neck and neck for second place. It's just about Chris Goff that has established himself in that position, ahead of Andrew Kemp in 3rd and Robin Gearing in 4th position as they turn their way now down towards Yentwood for the first time. It's a slightly shortened race this, 11 minutes plus 1 lap, because of that race stoppage. But Bill Cowley making a good start and looking to put right the injustice, he will have perceived it, of yesterday when he was leading the race and contact from Dave Hodkin eliminated both of them and caused a red flag. Already though, Cowley is able to pull away from the rest of the field, which is heading through Kirby for the first time. And down the steel straight towards Gracelands goes our race leader then. That's Bill Cowley. Chris Goff in 2nd place. And there's Dave Robson, the reigning champion, also the 2009 champion as well, the man from Ashbourne in Derbyshire. There's Goff then in 2nd place, just ahead of Andrew Kemp and Robin Gearing, making their way down the school straight towards the Brook Chicane for the first time. Cowley then, third generation of Cowleys in that car. It was designed and built by his granddad, but there's Mark Glover, the former low-cost racer in one of the increasingly predominant race kits Falcons, just ahead of number 1, the reigning champion Dave Robson. And they are through turn number 1. Robson there trying to sweep through on the inside line at turn number 1. He has the line for Dean Hairpin now. Can he make up a place? On the brakes they go. A bit of a moment for Robin Gearing, it seemed to me, up ahead there, and he's lost a little bit of ground to the 2 or 3 cars up in front. Robson has gone through though, up into 5th position. Glover goes down to 6th. It looks like Bill Rutter there in 7th place. Robin Gearing there in the number 85 car, the man from Toaster in his Derby, but it's the 2 Derbyshire drivers battling together here, because Mark Glover is from Derby, as we've said, Dave Robson from Ashbourne, very nice part of the world. Now turning their way through Kirby once more. This tight left hand, a bit deceptive really, quite a slow part of the circuit. Then they come down the steel straight towards the left-hander at Gracelands, a quicker, more sweeping left-hander than some of the corners on this infield section at Rockingham. But Robson just beginning to pull away a little bit now from Mark Glover in that 5th position. It is indeed Bill Rutter in 7th. Dave Robson there in his Star 83 that he started building more than 30 years ago and has been developing ever since. There's Andrew Kemp in the car normally driven by his father Martin. Finished 2nd in yesterday's race to Ed Pither and ahead of Chris Goff, but he's behind Chris Goff for the moment. Chris Goff in the CGR2 Evo, another car that's been designed and engineered by the driver, which is very much the ethos behind 750 Formula and has been since it was created back in 1949. If not, it is in fact the oldest championship in the UK. As Andrew Kemp there sails past Chris Goff, but was too deep and too late on the brakes into the corner, so Goff with a bit more experience came ahead out of the corner. Through Yentwood towards Chapman Curve, and now piff paff they go. It's that mauve and black car of Goff that's in 2nd place then. Kemp in the white and blue car in 3rd. Yellow car there is Mick Harris, car number 28, the 10-time championship winning driver Mick Harris. I think 8 of them coming in that particular car. It's a Derby for Mick Harris, and it's a Derby too for Robin Gearing, and he's moved up into 3rd position there. He's swept ahead of Andrew Kemp at Gracelands, so up into 3rd place goes Gearing. What can he do about Chris Goff now? Turning their way through Tarzan Hairpin, named after the corner of a similar profile at Zandvoort, of course, in the Netherlands. Down School Straight into the Brook Chicane. This is the final complex of the lap. Roger Rowe goes through, he's a former champion, so too Mick Harris just behind him. Many of these drivers have been racing in the 750 Formula Championship for a long time. Once you get into it, you don't really want to leave it. Side by side for the lead of the race as they come over the line. Just Chris Goff cuts the timing beam first, but Robin Gearing has the inside line and he goes through at turn 1. So the Derby takes 2nd position. The CGR2 Evo goes down to 3rd place now. Into Dean Hairpin they go. Gearing 2nd, Goff 3rd, but Goff gets a better run through the corner and gets 2nd place back from Robin Gearing, or does he? Because Gearing has the inside line for the right-hander at Yentwood and goes back through. Great racing from these drivers. And the wonderful thing about 750 Formula Championship racing as well is that generally it's very clean, as Andrew Kemp tries to find a gap on the inside there of Chris Goff as they made their way through this Chapman and then infield section of the circuit through the sweeping S's towards now the tight left-hander at Kirby they go. Mick Harris there doing battle with the Mystic of Rod Hill. Towards the end of the field though this weekend is Mick Harris, unfortunately. Certainly some of the cars and drivers not favouring the very hot conditions that we have at Rockingham this weekend. There's Dave Robson then, and look, Bob Simpson in car number 4 has made up another place now. He's ahead of the car of Mark Glover, and we've actually had a retirement for Robin Gearing from second position. So that means that Bob Simpson now is up into 6th place. Great drive this. I admit to not being in the first flush of youth now, I'm sure. Bob Simpson is having a great run here. Yesterday he finished in 7th place, but didn't feel too well after the race, I believe. And so the warm conditions taking their toll on both cars and drivers at Rockingham this weekend. So Simpson looking to make up more places, as on his last lap now, Bill Cowley out of Tarzan he has come. As for second place, it's Kemp up the inside of Chris Goff, and just about pulling away from that was Kemp. I think he decided that discretion was the better part of valour in the end, and Goff has held on to second position. But up to the line then comes Bill Cowley for his second win in 750 Formula, his first this season, and he takes the checkered flag in the Cowley Mark IV. Who's going to be second though? It looks like it's going to be a reversal of the positions from yesterday, because Chris Goff appears to be about to beat Andrew Kemp to the line, but they're almost side by side, but Goff just holds on by a little bit over a tenth of a second. Robson comes home in 4th place in the end, and Simpson up to 5th. Those are the results then. Bill Cowley beating Chris Goff by 12.3 seconds. Kemp was 3rd, Robson 4th, and Bob Simpson in 5th position. Mark Glover in that race kits Falcon rounded out the top 6. Best lap of the race went to the winner, Bill Cowley, of course, a 1 minute 39.3.
Bill Cowley, race winner today in the 750 Formula. You managed to pull away nicely and get that first win of the year.
Well, yeah, I thought I started on front row, so I thought best get my head down straight away, because I seen Dave Hodkin on I think row 2 or something, so I thought get my head down and just try and break away from Dave. And when he was out of the race, I thought, well, I ain't got no to worry about really, so I thought still get my head down just to make sure I built up a big enough gap. I just cruised it for the rest of the race.
The conditions this weekend have been very hot. It's kind of unusual to be racing in this sort of heat.
It don't bother me too much, to be fair. But it's not pleasant, to be honest. It's too hot for me, but it don't bother me too much. So, yeah.
Well done on the victory, and good luck for the rest of the year.
Thank you.
Well, that's all we've got time for from Rockingham. Join us again for our next event at Silverstone.